Thanks for staying with us. Let's talk health now. A senior research associate at the Cambridge University, Dr. Sarah Pensa, says early diagnosis will go a long way in preventing cervical cancer and other illnesses. She was speaking at the opening of a free community cervical cancer outreach sponsored by Cambridge University in Osogbo. Senior reporter Rafiu Hamid reports.
Cervical cancer, according to statistics, is the fourth most common cancer in women globally, with over 12,000 new cases and 8,000 deaths annually. In Nigeria, it is the third most common cancer case among women between the age of 15 and 44. This workshop is another step towards encouraging more cervical cancer researchers to do more. Dr. Sarah Pensa harped on the need for women to always make themselves available for early screening.
Early diagnosis, so the screening that we are planning to do with this program, is going to allow us to detect the causative agent of cervical cancer, which is papillomavirus. And once that is detected, then we can act in a way that prevents the onset of the cervical cancer. So I would say to women that it's extremely important to participate to this type of early screening when it's available to them.
Cervical cancer should not kill any woman because it takes on the average of 15 years before you develop from infection to the cancer itself. So early diagnosis, like I've said earlier, is the key. So I am encouraging our women to screen and screen.
After this workshop, over 600 women in the state are to undergo free cervical cancer screening courtesy of the grant won by Fountain University.
First leg of the grant was given to the university last year, and it was in form of equipment that were donated to the university, and the equipment came around I think sometimes in June, and the equipment at that time worth over 150 million naira. And this is the second leg, which is the early diagnosis and outreach on the cervical cancer.
As often as you can, with any time around 2 to 5 years, will really help detect it at the right time. But this is particularly important as you grow old, because papillomavirus can stay in your body for a long time, and the longer it stays in your body, then the highest the chance to develop cervical cancers.
The cervical cancer screening is expected to take place in 4 different locations in Osun State. Rafiu Hamid, TVC News, Osogbo.
Away from that, the Enugu State government is accelerating plans to include young persons in the policy review process to bridge the gap between them and policymakers. This resolution was reached at a stakeholders meeting in Enugu by the state government to add key players. Senior reporter Bamidele Ajayi has more.
Nigeria is a home to a significant growing youth population, with over 1/3 of it are below 24 years. A survey from the Federal Ministry of Youth Development in 2022 revealed that a notable 35% of Nigerians between 15 to 34 years unemployed youths are available for work, actively seeking work or working less than 20 hours per week, whereas 28% of young people that are in workplace are recognized as unemployed, working between 20 to 39 hours a week. In a bid to address the challenges faced by Nigerian youth, Enugu State government is partnering South Sahara Development Organization with Action Aid Nigeria to develop a comprehensive youth policy framework designed to place young people at the center of the state development process. At this engagement meeting, the state government highlighted the potential inherent in developing youth human capacity.
We are guided by the UN policy formulation rules and regulations, which requires stakeholder engagement such as this. So which requires that we must have the youth themselves who are supposed to be the beneficiaries of this policy.
The development partner described the initiative as hubs that will address personal development of the young people.
Now what we did today is to have a wider stakeholder engagement, because of this technical working group, of course, are just key representative, but today we had wider stakeholder engagement to also get feedback from different sectors and different key players.
Participants emphasized the importance of the workshop to have youth making contribution to the policy formulation of the state.
When you include the youth in what you are doing, because they are the ones suffering it. Wait, after this policy and by God's grace, government started implementing it, I think we will no longer have the issue of you shortchange this and that.
The primary objective of the engagement was to gather input from various stakeholders to shape a youth policy that reflects the aspiration and needs of youth in Enugu State. Different youth organizations participated in the youth engagement workshop. Bamidili Ajayi, TVC News Enugu.
Now, following allegations against the Nigerian Education Loan Fund of excluding students from the Southeast region, the program's managing director, Akintunde Sawyer, has conducted a sensitization campaign at Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, Umudike, to set the record straight. Nena Gabriel has details in this report.
Recently, the team has been conducting the sensitization campaign in schools across the Southeast. Now, they are here in Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, Umudike, for the same purpose. The aim is to explain the purpose of the fund, which was signed into law by President Bola Tinubu on the 3rd of April 2024 to support Nigerian students with financial aid for tuition and upkeep.
The Nigerian Education Loan Fund Scheme, NELFund, is a zero-interest loan scheme for students in tertiary institutions.
The team reveals that 574 students from this school have already applied for the fund, with 71 million naira disbursed to the institution. The team also gave detailed explanations on how students can apply for the loan.
We have a site, www.nelf.gov.ng. If you go there, you will find that you need to provide some information. Are you a Nigerian? Yes. If you are a Nigerian, you can proceed. You will need to provide us with your JAM number and your date of birth. You will need to provide your name. Because we are going to be paying you pocket money, you will need to provide your bank details.
The university's Dean of Student Affairs encourages students who have not yet applied to visit the fund's website to do so promptly.
If you check all the universities in the Southeast, you will notice that Michael Okpara University of Agriculture, Umudike, has the highest number of those who have keyed into NELFund.
It's not easy to survive in this institution. So the president making this loan available is a good thing. And to me, I believe that it's going to help me.
At least this loan is helping the students, those that cannot be able to afford their fees. Because in Nigeria now we have half of the dropout.
The fund is intended to aid indigent students, alleviate the financial burden on parents, and contribute to sustainable development goals in education.
Outside Nigeria, at least 14 people have been killed in Israeli airstrikes on a number of military sites in central Syria. But that's according to the Syrian state news agency SANA. SANA cited a hospital director as saying that another 43 people were wounded in the attacks in the vicinity of Masyav in Hama province on Sunday night. A UK-based monitoring group earlier reported that at least 4 soldiers and 3 civilians were killed in strikes that destroyed military and scientific facilities where Iran-backed armed groups were present. The Israeli military said it does not comment on foreign media reports. However, it has previously acknowledged carrying out hundreds of strikes in recent years on targets in Syria that it says are linked to Iran and allied armed groups. The Israeli strikes have reportedly been stepped up since the start of the war in Gaza in October last year, in response to cross-border attacks on northern Israel by Hezbollah and other groups in Lebanon and Syria.